Joe's Amethyst Steel deck, because he absolutely, he was the only match I lost that whole day. It's not a great matchup, but here we are jumping into our game. Our players taking that opening draw. We have Fabrice on the left over here. Not sure what these players have brought to the table yet, but I'm sure we will work it out very quickly.
Yeah, and we've got, I believe it is going to be Anki Zhu on the other side. Apologies for any pronunciations, which we do get wrong here. We are doing our best. They are both on 37 points. That is a huge total after 6 rounds. That is
100%.
That is a very impressive record. It looks like we can't give the deck lists away, but I can tell you it looks like we've got an Amethyst Emerald against an Amethyst Ruby.
Oh, so we were saying earlier this Emerald Amethyst tempo deck was very, very popular last set, and set 4, it's not been performing as well as we would like, but a couple of players have been performing very well with it today, and here's one of them, and on 37 points, did you say? That is a great accomplishment.
Both players.
Both players, so there you go. So on the other side of the field, we are seeing Ruby Amethyst. A couple of ladies in red, or ladies in chairs, as the community has dubbed them. We're seeing that one-cost broom that some players are utilizing, which can, if you play another character, you can use it to draw another card, just to help thin through your deck a little bit more. But we have started. Fabrice went with an Ink and a turn 1 Cursed Merfolk, which is a lovely start. Definitely going to be glad to have that Chernobog's Followers as a follow-up to that, so that Merfolk can't just sit there and keep questing for 2 every turn. So definitely going to be very happy to have had that 1 drop to respond.
Yeah, of course, when you challenge that Cursed Merfolk, you do have to discard a card from your hand, which is super annoying. But if you don't, you just give up 2 lore to your opponent every turn, which is, over the course of a few turns, most definitely worse. So we've got a lot of Amethyst on the board in this particular matchup. Is Emerald or Ruby going to prove to be the better partner? So Fabrice trying to decide what to ink, and is there a good 2 option? I didn't see what was
I think that was
there.
a Flynn Rider that just went down there, and I like this play, playing the Snake, going to bounce back that Cursed Merfolk and keep it safe so that he can play it on a further turn and get some more use out of it. We see a Brawl off the top of the deck from Anne.
Yeah, as someone who likes hyper aggro, I love when I can use a card that's very, very vulnerable. It's exerted. Oh, wait, I bounced it back to my hand. Now it's safe, and I can play it again for more utility later on down the line.
Oh, no, you missed it. The Sisu being eyed up here can't be played just yet. We are seeing that Flynn Rider come down, although Fabrice with that Snake on the field with 3 strength, meaning that going into Anne's turn, they won't immediately gain lore, but just something that they've put down to pressure the board a little bit, and we see the Ursa Deceiver, and Anne is going to be thrilled to show a hand. No songs for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, there is a second Flynn Rider, though, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on. Maybe we can get both of them down, follow it up with a bigger character. That could be some nice extra lore as we go, but that Cursed Merfolk does reappear. Madam Mim's Snake Quest for 1, and then we're back over to Anne's turn.
And we do have that Sisu there, which could be a way to get this Flynn Rider's ability online if it can stay on the board long enough. Yeah, a few nice options.
Top deck to Brawl there as well, which could be start taking out some of those characters. You even use take out the Merfolk if you didn't want to go through the whole discarding a card from your hand malarkey.
Yeah. It would seem like quite a passive play to just do that, but at the same time, like you say, this Cursed Merfolk generating 2 lore, and it would force a discard from Anne anyway, unless, of course, he can wait to play something like Madame Medusa, but still a couple of turns away from that. We're going to see the Maleficent inked, and down comes that Sisu Emboldened Warrior, which is going to gain an extra strength for each card in Fabrice's hand, so that could be enough to get our Flynn Rider ability online.
Yeah, we need to watch hand sizes now. We're up to 4 with Fabrice, but of course it's not going to end with 4. We do have a Flynn Rider of their own in hand, though a different Flynn Rider, and we've got a Fox, we've got a Mirror Chamber, and another Ursula there.
Mirror Chamber, you are correct. I was like, what? But I was like, oh, that's the sub-name of the Queen's Castle, isn't it? Yeah, well done, Ross. Well done. We're going to ink, exert 4. And down comes that Queen's Castle. That is super interesting because with this lowered hand size, this Sisu isn't going to be hitting quite as hard as it would like. I think it's that 2 cards in Fabrice's hand.
Yeah, only 2 in the hand.
Okay, so there is 7 strength on board because the Sisu has 3, 4, 5 from the Chernobog, 6, 7 from the Flynn Rider. So Anne could answer this castle this turn, but if he's doing that, he's not challenging the Merfolk, he's not challenging the Snake, nor is he doing any sort of questing or singing. So even though he's putting down this castle and it can be immediately answered, maybe it's still fine just because it takes some attention away from your characters. Or Anne may just decide to challenge the characters and the castle lives.
Or Anne could just play their own castle, there is 1 in hand, and then just go, you know what, let's just both get 2 lore at the start of our turn. Just ignore the castles, put everyone on the clock, have a shorter game, and just make it nice and even.
Castle versus castle. We'll see who gets there first. I like it. We're going to see the Sisu challenge into the Madam Mim Snake, which is going to put 3 damage counters on that Sisu. So I love this Sisu. It's so well statted. 2 lore, 4 willpower, and a strength that could potentially be infinite.
I mean, wow, no.
I'm exaggerating, but you get my point. There's no fixed value. It could be.
Oh no, because there's no fixed limit for Lorcana decks, is there?
No. So I am
it
right.
Could be. You're right.
I am. Obviously, it's a bit of an exaggeration because you wouldn't expect too much. To be fair, like a 10-card hand as a Ruby Amethyst player is pretty reasonable. I don't know if the Emerald Amethyst deck can get that high, but still, this Sisu really strong. Answers the Snake. The Flynn Rider is going to challenge into that Cursed Merfolk. Takes 0 damage in return because Cursed Merfolk is a great card. Doesn't hit very hard.
No, it is there to quest and annoy your opponent by making them discard cards. That is what it does, but we are seemingly building up for a Sisu here, being the most powerful card on the board. So kind of going for Brees, and we are inking the other Flynn, and I understand why we are. You cannot put all your eggs in that basket. It doesn't always work. But it's so nice when you get multiples and they're all firing off.
It sure is, yeah. I think he definitely would have been tempted by that second Flynn, but this castle is also a very good play. You're on curve. It is your turn 4 play, and you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to be gaining lore next turn. Of course, Fabrice could challenge with the Ursula and do 1, could bounce for the Fox, but that's it. That's the most that they could really do with that amount of ink, even if they had a second Fox. So this castle is going to survive, and then Anne next turn could move a couple of characters there. We shall see. Is the Ursula just questing for 1?
Seems to be just questing for 1 here, going up to 9 there for Fabrice. Not much on the board, just the Ursula and the castle. So let's go and add in a Madam Mim Fox. And then we got 2 more ink to replay the Ursula. I like that. It's a way of questing, gaining a lore, but not leaving the character exerted. And now we see Madam Mim Fox taking out the Sisu. So we know for a fact that Flynn Rider will not get the extra lore to start Anne's turn. And that's another reason why playing too many of them can be a little bit of a trap.
Yeah, for sure. Although, to be honest, I think the Sisu would have only had 3 strength anyway going into turn, so that Fox would have kept the Flynn from gaining that lore, but you still want to remove the Sisu. It's just sitting there questing for 2, so you definitely still want to get rid of that.
And there's always a chance it goes higher if you build up your hand. You don't want to be punished for building up a large hand, but we get a second Queen's Castle coming down here.
That is a big play. Castles for... You get a castle, you get a castle, you get a castle. But in this instance, Fabrice could answer one of these castles. Fox goes into it, and then maybe if he's got another Fox, he could play that immediately and remove 1, but... We've got 2 on the board, and we've got a couple of goats.
Oh, that's all we've got in hand is just the 2 goats.
See, that it's weird to see goats and sort of sigh in disappointment, because normally that's a card that you really like to see. It's so powerful. But in this particular instance, I'm not sure how much it's doing.
You gain a lore when you play it, and it's a decent card for challenging next turn. This turn is really not doing enough. Now, the good news is Fabrice has got a decent lead there, 12 lore against 4. That is a good place to be. And you've got 3 characters. They can all start questing. But here's, how much is Anne going to be able to take advantage of those castles building up? Seems like Flynn Rider is going down, but the castles are safe for now.
Yeah, wants to remove that Flynn Rider from getting additional card draw for Anne, so prioritising that. Moves his own goat to his own Queen's Castle. So yeah, we need to remember, Fabrice has 1 on the built board as well, and there's going to be no way for Anne to answer it. Even if we had a Maui, there's no other characters on board to be able to finish the job. So we are quite literally doing what you said. With it. Both castles have stuck, and Anne's played a second, and we're just racing. We see a Medusa, a Rabbit, and a Brawl. Pretty good cards, but not doing much in this particular board.
No, you need to start getting some characters down, whether it's for questing, whether it's for putting on challenging pressure, or even just starting to do some damage. Like if you can get rid of your opponent's castle while having 2 of your own on board, that is going to give you a 4-lore advantage every turn. That's going to build up very, very quickly. As it is, I'm loving the double castle. We see an Ink of the Brawl. Here comes Madame Medusa taking out Ursula. And
I think that's the play.
To be it.
It's not a great move, but I think it's the best he could do with what he's got, because he needs something on the board that can take out this goat, stop it being bounced constantly, because Fabrice hasn't got a whole lot going on, but he's so high on lore. The castle is still on the board. The goat is going to gain extra lore. Another goat is going to gain more lore. And, of course, he could draw into more snakes and more foxes. So Fabrice is looking pretty good here.
Game on board for Fabrice next turn, and of course you're at 17 lore. If you take away the goats, that puts you on 19. If you don't, they quest and put you on 19. There's only one more lore that needs to be found here, and it's actually catching up really nicely with that castle. Looks like we might be falling 1 turn short, because Anne, with one more character, also has game on board next turn, but it's more important now to stop Fabrice.
Absolutely agreed. Maybe Anne wants to find some goats of his own so we can get that final bit of reach that he needs to just close out the game. But I think Fabrice is looking pretty good here so far. We're going to pay 3 for friends on the other side. Sorry, I needed to get that out once today. But we're going to draw 2 cards, find some more options. Has he found an answer? A Maui would be nice here, but 2 goats and a Chernobog's on board.
Well, the problem is, 1 goat's exerted and the other 2 characters are active. If you take out the exerted goat, your opponent goes to 18 and quest to 20. And that means you are too close to the end of the game. So Anne is going to concede. Fabrice is going to take game 1. And we are going to go to our second of 2 games in this series.
Yeah, super strong play from the Emerald Amethyst player. Again, I've said this a lot. It's kind of fallen off this set, but against Ruby Amethyst, EA was always a pretty good deck. So it doesn't hugely surprise me to see that go that way, especially because things like the Cursed Merfolk, and again, Ruby Amethyst is not a early deck, really. It is running those Chernobog's followers, it's running those brooms, but it can really struggle against those aggressive aggro plays. So Fabrice doing a fantastic job there, knows his deck, played to his outs, and the Queen's Castle putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, that Queen's Castle was big. Both players used it, but when you get it down first and you combine it with some decent characters, a little bit of challenging, little bit of questing, and that really was the difference there. Getting it down, but also controlling the opponent's board. For a large part of that game, Anne had 1 or 2 castles, but basically nothing else.
Couldn't get advantage off of it, and like you say, when I saw that second castle come down, I was like, oh, this is a good position to be in, but it wasn't enough. The EA Tempo player was too far ahead, and we are now going to be moving into game 2. Our players going for their mulligan here.
Yeah, the mulligan rules, for those that are newer, you can, at the start of your turn, you draw your opening hand, and you can keep or lose as many cards as you like. Any you don't want, you put to the bottom of your deck, you draw a bunch more cards, then you shuffle up, and you end up with the same amount of cards in hand, but you essentially get to redo any card you don't want to keep. And it means, although it's far from guaranteed, you are pretty likely to have a decent opening hand in Lorcana because you get a second chance. You can even just get rid of your entire opening hand and just try again.
I've seen that happen, especially if you're playing combo decks. Things like Bucky really want to find the squirrel straight away, so they're no strangers to really greedy aggressive mulligans, should I say, to try and find them.
I think either word works. They're greedy mulligans or aggressive mulligans. Either way, you are really trying to get early cards. There's no 1-drop in Anne's hand, though. We've got a couple of Flynn, but it's just ink and pass.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. We're going to be relieved to be going first. You got to assume Fabrice is going to have found a Merv. Oh, he's got the Rafiki. Okay, interesting. The Mystical Fighter. 0-2 stat line, but Challenger 3. So when he challenges a character, he will gain 3 strength. There's also a second ability where he takes no damage from hyenas, which I'm sure one day will be relevant.
There's one person watching that has actually used that. Shout out to you. Rafiki's really dropped off recently. It was much better in the last meta. This meta, I'm not seeing Rafiki being played very much, but actually just bouncing it straight back for a Madame Mim Snake, after questing for 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fabrice would have probably preferred to have had a Merfolk or something like that, so and definitely going to be a little bit relieved that it was only the Rafiki, but able to bounce it back to hand, put the snake down, which was done with the intention of not triggering Flynn Rider's ability, but Anne has a Sisu now on the board, which is going to have a nice high strength. Fabrice going to ink, pay 3, and now comes Kit Cloud Kicker, another card from that. It was only last format, and some part of me feels like it was so long ago, but it wasn't really. Kit Cloud Kicker was very popular during set 3, allowing you to choose a character with 2 strength or less and return it to that player's hand. So going to bounce that Flynn back and prevent that 3 lore gain that would have come from the Sisu, which I think has 5 or 6 strength. So
6 at this point. In that turn, it had 6 strength. But we did see the questing with Sisu for 2, which is quite nice. We've got a Merlin Rabbit down to draw a card.
We inked that Flynn too.
We did ink the second Flynn, you are absolutely right. And it looks like we see a Madam Mim Fox coming down after Kit Cloud Kicker quested. And we do see the Madam Mim going after the Sisu. So Fabrice here, once again, doing a great job of controlling the board, ending the turn with 2 characters on the board.
Yeah, again, like you say, that a Rafiki mystical fighter we haven't seen since last set, just kind of falling off. They're not a lot of decks are a lot slower these days, which I think is why a lot of players have moved away from the Rafiki. But Fabrice clearly finding some good use for it. We've got a Fox, I think a Castle, a Be Prepared, and I think a couple of Madame Medusas. We're going to see that Castle hit the field from Anne. The player to do it first this time, which must feel good. Rabbit moves to the Castle, which will hopefully drawing some cards next turn, and we pass over to Fabrice.
Yeah, I like this a lot more. Getting it down nice and early, being the first player to get it down. You know, you're behind by 1 lore, but that is going to, it's either going to get you a lot of advantage in terms of lore, or it's going to force Fabrice to put a bunch of resources into removing it. Either way, I think that's a net gain for Anne here.
Yeah, for sure. He does have access to that Madam Mim Fox, which will help a lot. Could remove this immediately, actually. The Rafiki would challenge the 3 into the castle, then the Fox comes down and removes it immediately. So maybe a bit of a premature castle from Anne, but at the same time, sometimes you've just got to take the risk and say, I hope you don't have it.
Yeah, and it is exactly what you said with the Rafiki and then the Madam Mim Fox. But even then, you've basically, your opponent's not done very much this turn.
True.
They've just dealt with your castle, but it's just board presence. And didn't really have it in game 1, and they don't really have it here in game 2. 1 rabbit on the board is not going to get there.
No, absolutely not. We know he's holding a Be Prepared and a couple of Madame Medusas in hand. I think are we at 5 ink? Or does that... or does that take us to 5?
It's at least 5.
1, 2, 3. No, I think it's 6 now. So that Madame Medusa will be online now. I expect the Merfolk would be the target of that. The Rabbit is going to quest for 1. Run, Rabbit, run.
Yeah, running all the way to those extra cards. Here does come the Madame Medusa getting rid of the Merfolk there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Madame Medusa has that 4/4 stat line, so we'll be able to deal with either the Fox or the Snake next turn if they're exerted. I imagine Fabrice is going to be interested in removing the Rabbit here, which of course will draw around a card. But Amethyst players know that your Rabbits are so valuable. Yes, sometimes you want to quest with them, sing with them, challenge with them, but really you want to keep bringing them back to your hand and keep playing these Rabbits and just draw more and more cards. So I imagine Fabrice will want to remove it this turn. We're going to sing Friends on the other side with our Fox.
Drawing a Friends on the other side as well as you go. And it looks like a Flynn Rider, I want to say.
Yep, that is indeed a Flynn Rider. And I'd like to see the Snake going into the Rabbit here. And then probably just an extension of some aggro character. To be fair, Fabrice has to be aware he is going into Be Prepared turn. So he doesn't want to overextend here. I don't think playing multiple characters here would be wise. Maybe just a 1 Merfolk. Just to put a little pressure on the board, but not overextend it.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Here comes the Flynn. He is going to extend. Okay.
And the Merfolk. Now, they're basically the same card in that they quest for 2, and they make your opponent discard a card if they challenge. The difference is, of course, more expensive on the Flynn Rider, and it's got a better stat line.
Ross, I think it's coming, mate.
I think it might be coming.
You know what I mean, right?
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean. We're going to quest up with the Rabbit. We're going to quest up with the Medusa. We're going to ink the Goat, and we're going to sing Be Prepared.
I like that I don't have to do that stuff because you're so good at it, Baker. It takes the pressure off me having to sing all of these songs. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're most welcome. And to the rest of you, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. Down comes the Diablo. Very nice.
Yeah, we don't often see it away from a Bucky. You kind of want Bucky on there to take advantage of it. but it is not the end of the world.
One.
I love consecutive turns of Be Prepared. They make me so happy.
Wow.
I once played 3 in a row and my opponent immediately conceded, and it was one of my favorite Lorcana moments to date.
Love it. That was such a strong play. I'm not sure how many cards Fabrice is holding now. So, yep, super good to be able to have that as a response to the Diablo. We're just going to see paying 3 for friends on the other side. That did find a rabbit, though, so Fabrice is already going to start replenishing those resources. I imagine that's the play this turn.
Yeah.
Oh, no, castle.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, that also sounds very good. And could have a Maui, but it wouldn't be enough. It would only do 6. I say only.
Doing 6 while taking none in return.
6 is nothing in this game.
6 is a lot. It's just not quite good enough against the Queen's Castle.
To be fair, we could go 1-drop Fox, but clearly not the move. We're just seeing 1-drop Chernobog's followers and then into Madame Medusa, which is offering 6 strength.
Yeah, so we'll at least be able to take out that castle next turn. It's gonna get 1 use of it, but that is all you're gonna get. Now we do see it's not much in hand, but the problem is over the course of a couple turns you can start rebuilding this board.
Yeah, and down comes a goat. That's got a lot of pressure.
And there is an argument to maybe save that Be Prepared for a turn or 2, let your opponent replenish the board, and then go for it. But it seems so good at the time, giving your opponent nothing. Fabrice has just been able to rebuild the board a little bit better than we might have expected.
Yeah, no, you are right, although, I know, actually, I was about to say I still think the Be Prepared was okay because that Diablo really needed to be answered, but he was holding Madame Medusa. I'm pretty sure he was already holding it. Maybe he had used it and I was wrong there, so that could have been the answer. So I see your point.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I've got Be Prepared 2 turns in a row, I'm doing it because it's fantastic and it amuses me. But sometimes just holding it, it's one of those you really want to use it to get the most value out of it. But Anne here still in a pretty good position. 1 lord down. We got the rabbit coming down, drawing an extra card. That Madame Medusa on the board, still putting a bit of pressure on.
Yeah,
obviously great play skill, but still good when it's on the board.
Yep.
4/4 stat line, nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, but this castle still sitting there, gaining 2 passive lore gain every turn. Once again, we only have 6 strength on the board, but you got to imagine Anne's close. There's the fox.
There's the fox. And the rabbit was played this turn?
Yeah, so is that enough damage? Yep, there we go. So the castle is going to be removed, which was definitely needed.
And bumped Madame Medusa back to hand to use next turn.
Very good, very good. So this is looking pretty even Stevens at the moment. Both players with respectable board. Whoa, that is a lot of rabbits. That's chat. Am I wrong? That's a lot of rabbits.
That's a lot of rabbits. 4 rabbits on the board. We are being overrun by rabbits here on the Lorcana stream. My daughter would be delighted.
Is she a fan of rabbits, is she?
Oh, I was talking to this with yeah, she's huge. I had to buy some German rabbit sweets. The first opportunity, but here is a big Be Prepared. All those rabbits are now gone. And this
Fabrice is going to draw 3 cards off of that Be Prepared. That's some value right there.
And that's the thing. Board wipe against rabbits is not as good as board wipe against other characters because of the draw. You get 1 from every rabbit. So that's kind of what I was talking about. But sometimes if you notice another Be Prepared coming, so that's 3 we've seen so far. But we know a lot of players have upped it to the full 4.
Oh, look at this hand, though. We're able to immediately play another Queen's Castle. We get a Maleficent down to draw a card. Oh, the gut. No, it's Jack. Jack. I love this card. I'm a big fan. I think it came up in Chicago. There was a list running this. That could be wrong. It was either Chicago or
It's popped up a little
Atlanta.
bit recently. I've seen a few of them.
I'm a fan. It's very similar to Lyle Tiberius Rourke. Shout out to Moyen. He does love Lyle. But yeah, very similar card that gives Reckless to a character as soon as it's played. The difference is Lyle is uninkable, but also has a second ability where your opponent loses lore whenever they take out one of your characters, but Jack is inkable, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, giving your opponent Reckless, making them challenge when they don't really want to, stopping them questing if they do really want to. It is... Yeah, it can be fun. Maui's got Reckless, but you don't mind because you've got Rush and gigantic stats. Giving Reckless to a random character can be super annoying. It's not a staple in every deck, but Jack, he sneaks into a few lists here and there.
I'm a fan. I'm a really, like, quest for 2. He's got 4 willpower. You love to see it. The Medusa comes down to take out the Maleficent. The Brawl taking out the Chernobog's followers and passing. This castle's still sitting there, though. Going to be taking Fabrice up to 12, I believe. Yes.
See, that's the problem. You wreck your opponent's board. You completely board wipe them. You put them down to no characters on board, and they still go up to 12 lore, getting a 4 lore advantage because they've got the castle out.
I don't know what to tell you, Ross. Queen's Castle is a pretty good card.
Oh, I got 4 in my Ruby Amethyst deck. Don't get me wrong. I've got a playset sitting in
man.
there. And now we see the board being rebuilt. We've got Diablo, we've got Flynn Rider, we've got Cursed Merfolk. And they're moving. They're all taking up residence in that mirror chamber. And, of course, they're going to draw extra cards at the start of Fabrice's turn if they're still there when the turn begins.
Yeah, for sure. Not a lot of options from Ang. Going to play the Maleficent, draw a card, try and find some answers. I'm pretty sure he's holding another Medusa, so he can answer this diet. Well, any of the characters on Fabrice's board, but that's about it.
As it stands at the moment, Fabrice is going to start the turn, and they're going to get 2 cards and 2 lore without using anything. Now, here we see a Bee King Undisputed
This
coming down.
Flynn, right? Surely this is...
No, Merfolk.
No, Merfolk, sorry. Yeah, of course.
But yes, one of those 2 cards.
Yeah,
you can't get rid of the Diablo.
Flynn folk was what I was saying in my head. yeah. So gets rid of the Merfolk. The second Medusa going to take out the Diablo.
Okay, so that's better. You're taking threats off the board. You're bringing the draw down to 1 for Fabrice off of the Queen's Castle at the start of next turn.
Yep, it's a good start. Drawing 2 cards there and gaining 2 lore, going up to 14. We're going to see the Ursa Deceiver come down. Just a Flynn Rider Frenemy in Anne's hand, so no discard there.
Not a great hand there from Anne either.
No.
While we're here, now we do see Diablo getting re-established.
Another one.
There's a lot of Diablo coming down.
Yeah.
But we do see, keeping a Diablo in hand, knowing that your characters are going to get bumped by those Ruby cards all the time. So keep one knowing that you can replace if it goes. And here we are, empty in the hand. And here comes Jack going on to the Maleficent.
Very nice. Yeah, this is a lot of pressure to put onto the board. There's Queen's Castle would take him to 18, and then obviously Flynn to 20, and there's an extra 4 lore there on the table. So Anne's got a lot of work to do here. Can remove the Flynn Rider.
But there's a cool thing going on here.
Go on.
Give Reckless to Maleficent. The only character that can be challenged is your Flynn Rider. That makes you discard a card from hand.
That would be fun, but he could challenge the castle.
Oh.
As fun as that would be, I love the way you think, Ross. I absolutely love it. I'm here for it.
Breaking my heart, Baker.
But the castle is indeed here, but Anne's got to answer a lot of this board. He could go Medusa and Medusa into the castle. Maleficent could go into the Flynn Rider. And then we've got 4 lore on board still, courtesy of the other characters. So unless Anne can remove one of these other ready characters, I think it's GG.
Yeah, we've got 16 lore there for Fabrice. 4 lore needs to be gotten. Now, at the moment, there's actually 7 lore on the board for next term. So you need to get rid of at least 4 of them just to not guarantee losing when we go over to Fabrice's turn.
It's actually 8 lore, 2 from the castle, 2 from the Flynn, 2 from the Jack, and 1 each from Ursula and Diablo.
I forgot Jack was 2.
Yeah,
You're right,
he's a big mouse. He is a big mouse. He's not our favourite very large mouse, but he is a mouse nonetheless.
It's not your favourite very large mouse. Maybe I prefer Jack.
We'll talk later, mate.
So Flynn Rider is going down here. There's 2 lore taken off the board, but there's still 6 available and only 4 is needed. Now the Mirror Chamber comes down, but there is still 4 lore on the field and only 4 is needed. If we're passing over to Fabrice, it's just quest. That puts up to 20, and Fabrice is going to take the victory.
That was a surprise to me. I thought the line that I said would be the play. Double into the castle, Maleficent into Flynn, and then Bee King Undisputed would have forced one of the ready characters, but who knows? Maybe I missed something, but nonetheless, we are 1 game down.
That's 2 games.
That's it.
That is 2 games
there you
down.
go.
We are there. We did see Fabrice taking a 2-0 victory there. 1 game 1, 1 game 2, and we are, we're done with this round.
In my head for a moment, I was like, right, next game, but no, that's it. Apparently, EO Tempo does just win the game. It's as simple as that. Though, fantastic 2-0 to our Emerald Amethyst player. I know there's going to be a lot of Emerald Amethyst enthusiasts that are going to be really happy to see this deck doing well. And again, we've got DLC Fort Worth.